Drum roll, please. Here we go. The predictor says, let me guess. No, I'm not going to guess. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want you to guess.
Toyota top. I would say Truex Hamlin probably got to be in the top 3 of the predictor. Kyle Larson's got to be up there. I have Kyle Busch maybe 5th to 7th on the predictor, although I think he's going to run a little better. I'd have Harvick right outside the top 5. And draft can prove I'm not looking at it here. Bell's probably high. Yeah, I feel pretty good. I feel like it's going to be a Joe Gibbs Racing, Kyle Larson, William Byron top 5, just outside the top 5, Kyle Busch, Harvick, maybe Chastain. What says the real deal?
You're close. I've got the predictor has a big bounce back for Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is at the top. And then we go Truex, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Kevin Harvick, and then just outside of the top 5, Kyle Larson.
Well, let's do it this way, though, because the math would say, let's talk Group 1. I got Group 1, according to the predictor, I've now pulled it up, is Kyle, Truex, Hamlin, Byron, Harvick. Almost interchangeable on the score.
Yep.
I thought Larson would be higher. What do you think's dragging Larson down?
Well, he's never won there, and you look at his season as...
Yeah, but he's been Rick Allen there. That is where the Rick Allen happened.
It is.
So you think a big bounce. So Larson is the one, in my opinion, that's just kind of, I'm like, well, damn, Larson flies at Pocono. I thought his score would be a little higher.
Yeah, he's got 2 runner-ups, but he's yet to win there. And you look at this year, 9 top 5s, which is the most of all drivers, but 6 DNFs.
He for sure is that. That's fair.
I've got a question, Professor. Ross Chastain, not where Steve, I think, had him on the predictor.
Yes, much lower. That's a great point, Travis. So the predictor has him outside group. He's the leader of Group 4, which puts him 19th.
Yep, so his best average or his best finish at Pocono is 24th in 7 starts. Average finish is 30th at Pocono. And he only has 2 finishes better than 22nd in the last 8 races this year.
All right, so we're going to say it's a Chastain fade. We're going to look into the bets, but hey, listen, you said 24th in 7 starts?
Yes.
Now, he was pretty good up there once he got what's called Denny Hamlin. That's different than Rick Allen. He physically got Denny Hamlin. Had it coming back to him, though. I was okay with the move. So I have some other questions, though, Trav, because that was a good one to point out. I have some questions flipping the other way, but are there any other surprises for you? Because I have a standout surprise per the book. I'm talking split predictor versus the book.
Let's hear it.
Solid middle tier 2 driver Brad Keselowski. You have him solidly inside the top 10 on the predictor, and the book is giving him no respect. He's 16th favorite on the book, way down at 35-1. He's plus money for a top 10. How confident do you feel about Brad K in the predictor in a Ford? Back to a little bit of my concern about the Fords. And when I say concern, it's not concern. It's the wrong word. It's a little unknown, right? I mean, Professor, it's fair to say that we would have never predicted a Ford at the 600, and they were really good. They've made big gains, so do they carry over?
Yeah, they made great gains. Look at Keselowski. He's been 6th and 5th in the last 2 races. He's got to win it at Pocono. Lots of momentum coming in. He has 4 top 5s this year compared to 0 at this point last year. 8 top 10s compared to 3. I just feel like he's in the last. You look at his Pocono numbers; they're really impressive.
So if I go with that, and I'm trying to keep the pod a little bit on track when I listen to, I get all over the place. Let's just talk about guys we think can bet inside the top 10, because if they can't run inside the top 10, then they're group bets or matchups, and it doesn't matter. The win, listen, I'm going to be honest, there's not a bet on the board of any of the top 10 I would take for a win right now. What I mean by that is Truex at 5.5, Hamlin 5, Busch, Larson at 7, Byron at 9, Chastain at 12, Harvick at 16. Maybe I would take pre-practice. Blaney at 11, Reddick 14, Bell 14, Elliott at 12, Logano at 16. None of those captivate me where I think I have to get it in. Like, I want to see the 20 minutes. I know it's only 20 minutes of practice. These are post-practice picks. None of those captivate me. Or do any of those shock you on the odds, Professor or Travis, where you're like, you better get that in early?
I'm surprised at how close those odds are, really, like at the top.
Well, I think the predictor knows the kind of the chaos of Pocono.
So you're saying like starting with Gibbs is where you might put a bet in now.
So okay, so let's talk about that. None of the names I mentioned entice me. Harvick's the longest odds, and Logano at 16-1, and they don't entice me at 16-1 because in 20 minutes it can be the Ford stink or flip. Let's go to the converse, which I actually think is going to happen, and he's going to be like, man, Harvick is pretty good. He might move to 9-1. I need to see practice before I place that bet. But if we scroll, and I got to scroll, you've already yelled at me. I have to do the scrolling. Ty Gibbs, 35-1. Remember, this is where he made his Cup debut with no notice. Kurt Busch was knocked out. Ty came in. He actually did better there than I thought, and he's dwindled a little bit since. Maybe kind of hit or miss. This year, he ran okay at New Hampshire. I was looking for more. How did he get in trouble? He kind of lost a little bit of swagger there and got.
He was with Bowman, right? Was he in the Bowman?
He might have been. So he's 35-1. Bubba 28. Suarez, Keselowski. I mean, okay. So if the predictor is right, where do you have Ty Gibbs on the predictor, Professor?
Ty Gibbs is 20th.
So he's a fourth-tier driver. So the only driver up here, in my opinion, per the predictor, is Brad Keselowski at 35-1. He's a tier 2 driver according to the predictor. I mean, maybe a little nibble. He's plus 140 on top 10. I like the top 10 bet. I mean, 35-1 is still not long odds with 35 cars in the field. I mean, you got McDowell at 80-1 last week. I think these odds will not be so bunched post-practice. I think there's going to be some movement to the front and some movement to the back. But I think people really don't know who's going to load fast there. And you can also take a fast car, and if you go in the back, you're done, man. There's no driving from the back in strategy. This is my trivia of the day. 15 wins as a crew chief. This is the only race I've won more than, or the only track I've won at more than twice, 3 times at Pocono. One rain shortened with Jeff Gordon.
Still win.
Like lap 102 rain shortened.
I think it's 106.
106. It was barely in the rain, and only raining in turn 2. So with those, so for the wins, maybe a Keselowski at 35-1, maybe. I tell you, I'd be more inclined to put like.
I think back to the Gibbs. I think he's another way. You can't bet on him to win it. You're gonna have to just miss that winning bet.
It would have worked if his odds were like 50 or 60-1 because you could bet it all year long and you only just need one win. But now they have him down at 35-1, and some races even shorter. You're going to hemorrhage 35 units before you finally get a win if he keeps, And no offense to Gibbs, I always say you got to run on the top 5 to win. He's really not doing that. He's better, but he's not really a top 5 or 7 car each week.
He's been like
which,
during the race,
for the record, is fine for his age and his start. I'm not picking on him. We're talking a gambling show here, and the gambling is, would I have him in? I've actually used him in my fantasy some because you run out of usages. So, he's not a bad bet.
He's been kind of that 15, 16. He'll get up there and during the race to like 7 or 8, and then he kind of falls back. That's to make that jump to top 5 is another level.
That's another level for me. So let's talk the long odd guys and see if any of these guys would throw a little quarter unit on. Buescher, Fogg. He's now running better in RFK. I don't see it. Dillon, Dinger, Jones at 150-1. Legacy is really that slow.
Yeah, but Jones, this would be the place that you'd do that.
Talk to me, Professor. I saw the eyebrows twitch.
Well, he was top 10 there last year. He was top 10 in 7 of the last 11 races there.
Oh, whoop, stop. 7 of the last 11, he was top 10, and he's 4-1 for a top 10. Okay, there's your pre-qualifying bet. There's the, and you might even make this bet twice. I would even make this bet, like say you want to hammer it, right?
A nibble.
I'm not sure if he does have issues in practice and qualifies bad. It's a hard road to go, right? Put you a unit on it, and then if he shows up in practice and it goes down to 2-1, put you another unit. It's okay to have split odds. Professor, you like Professor top 10 or Jones?
Yeah, well, he's got 5 top 5s there too, which is tied for his most at a track. So
do you also like a top 10 bet for him at plus 400?
Mm-hmm. I like that better than the win. Although the win at 150 to 1 would be a monster. It would be a Shane Van Gisbergen type day.